Recording in progress.
Good evening, I'd like to call this September 30th, 2025 meeting to order. Everyone please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. We have definitely a full agenda. First off, we have two public hearings that we need to go through before going to our regular agenda items for tonight. The first up is a 2026 preliminary budget. So we're in budget season. Prior to passing an official 2026 budget, we are required to have a budget hearing where we discuss the budget and hear your thoughts on the budget as well. This year, the preliminary budget is slated to have a 2.45% tax increase. And we'll discuss that in detail. But first, I need a motion to open the public hearing for the 2026 preliminary budget.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And our public hearing is open. If anyone would like to speak on this matter, please step up.
I don't have anybody online or here for that.
Okay. No one online would like to speak on that?
No.
Okay. All right, so then do I have a motion?
Motion to close. Second.
I have a motion to close and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes, and the public hearing on the 2026 preliminary budget is now closed. Next, next public hearing that we have is the adoption of the local levy override. Essentially, by state law, you know, we have certain restrictions on how much we can increase the budget. And if we anticipate going over that and override the state mandated tax cap, it requires a supermajority vote of the board, and then we can go ahead and disregard the tax cap and, raise accordingly. So do I have a motion to open the public hearing regarding the adoption of the local levy override?
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the public hearing is now open. Would anyone like to speak?
I have Deborah Kelly.
Hi, my name is Deborah Kelly. I just want to make sure I understand. If this override is approved, it would then become permanent and it would be part of the base for the taxes in the budget going forward?
It's just for this year. Every year we have to get an override for the.
But what would you be overriding from whatever this override increases it to?
Yeah, so essentially if, the town controller can speak to this even more, but even if we pass a budget that does not override the tax cap, let's say it's under the tax cap, you know, there are certain situations with post-year chargebacks and recalculations that could put us over, and historically, that's why we've automatically done an override pretty much every single year, in many cases, without even actually going over the tax cap. So that's what we're looking to do here. We're looking to preemptively override the tax cap, even though we don't, have the budget finalized, nor do we have a budget that we anticipate would override the tax cap, would exceed the tax cap limit. But it has to be done every year. So if we override the tax cap for the 2026 budget, and let's say that does go over the tax cap or doesn't, it's allowed because we pass a local law that allows it. But for the 2027 budget, if we go over that, again, that 2% tax cap, it's not a real 2%. They call it a 2% tax cap. If we exceed it, or if we plan to exceed it, we have to pass another, every year, essentially the town board does this preemptively to override the tax cap.
Okay, but I guess my question then is, if you pass this override for this year, and if you do go over the 2% tax cap for this year, you're okay on your paperwork because you have the override, but then next year's budget would be capped at 2% of the higher override amount from this year, correct? So this year's override becomes a permanent part of the tax base for next year and going forward.
Because next
And
year
then
we
you can
can,
still do another override and go over the 2% again next year.
Correct.
Which would result in increased property taxes for everybody, more than what the state mandated tax cap normally allows.
Right.
And then we would keep building upon that every year, so the 2% tax cap is really not a 2% tax cap. Okay, just wanted to make sure I was clear on that. I imagine, I know we haven't talked about details of the budget, and I have not looked at the budget, that's why I didn't speak on the budget, but I'm imagining that probably a fairly significant portion of that budget goes towards paying salaries and benefits of people employed by the town of Fallbrook, correct?
Right.
So I guess I would like to object to the override and the increased budget funding based on the fact that we feel in our neighborhood that we're already paying for services we're really not receiving. So I personally don't see any reason to increase the funding for those services, especially not at a level beyond the existing tax cap. I'll spare you guys most of the details because I don't want to derail your meeting, but I do need to give you a little background to justify my statement about the services that we feel we're not receiving. There's a pot farm operating illegally on Burnt Ridge Road in violation of the Fallsburg zoning laws. They're causing numerous problems in the neighborhood with excessive noise, excessive lighting, all hours of the night, odors, traffic. They have drawn thousands of gallons of water from the underground aquifer through their well to fill up giant tanks and mix it with fertilizer chemicals. Those tanks are huge, they hold more water than a swimming pool. Some of the neighbors have already started having problems with their wells going dry in the neighborhood. Then that chemical water gets sprayed on the pot plants, and it ends up running off and going into the ground and into a natural brook behind their property, so it poisons the future water supply. We don't know what these chemicals are. Any day now, they're gonna be getting ready to harvest their plants, they're gonna bring in a refrigerator truck again like they did last year. And they're gonna run that diesel motor 24/7 for about 3 weeks, day in, day out, all night long. We've been trying to fight this for 2 years now. We're trying to do it the right way, with the zoning board. You can look at the zoning board meetings, they're posted online, July 17th of this year, July 31st of this year. The zoning board voted unanimously to deny their application for variance. They were told to remove the plants, stop growing, take their illegal fence down within 30 days. That was July 31st. Here we are 60 days later, they're still going stronger than ever. The code officer comes every 2 weeks to give them a new violation sticker in another 15 days. That's happened twice already. The last time was September 17th, so I guess he's due any day now to come and give them another sticker in another 15 days. The building department's been unhelpful. Someone there told one of my neighbors, oh, too bad, things change, you better get used to it. We called the Fallsburg Police Department about the noise and the other disturbances, and they tell us, stop calling, we're not coming up there. There was a town attorney at all of the zoning board meetings, I don't see him here tonight, but he agreed that they have to stop operating, but he's doing nothing about it. All these people, code enforcement, building department, police department, town attorney, they're paid out of the Fallsburg budget, correct? They're doing nothing to help us, the residents, and they're doing everything to help the pot farm make sure they get another harvest in. Our property values have gone down the toilet because who wants to live by a pot farm? You wanna come by my house, live in my neighborhood? I don't think so. Now you wanna not only increase the budget, but you wanna increase it beyond the limit set by the state, when these people are already not doing the jobs they're getting paid for. You know, that's just bad math, and in my book, it's totally unacceptable. So, I'm opposed. Maybe I'm the only one, but I'm opposed. Thank you for listening.
And poison in the water.
Thank you, Deborah. Is there anyone else? Want to speak on the tax levy override?
Deborah.
Yeah, I'm against it too for the same reason. I'm on Burnt Ridge Road. I live right next door to
Sorry,
it.
sir, what was your name?
Sir,
Hold on.
Lawrence Card, I'm sorry. I've been fighting this for 2 years. I bought a nice little retirement house to move over here in a nice, quiet residential area. And I gotta live in Shea Stadium because with all the lights, it might as well be that. When you call the police, they don't even want to come and do anything about the traffic all hours of the night. The building department told me to learn to live with it. It's a change of life. It's illegal. I've been going to the zoning board here for 2 years now, fighting this. They've been told it's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. And every time it's a new excuse and give them enough time to harvest their $1 million worth of plants again. It's starting to stink at my house. I can't breathe. I got allergies from this stuff, and you want me to pay more taxes? It's crazy. You guys should be giving me a deduction. I paid $280,000 for the house. I put about $30,000 into the house. I called the real estate the other day. They told me with that fence and that ugly stuff over there, I'll be lucky I can get $240, $250 for it. What am I supposed to do? I can't even move. And these people are breaking the law, and you do nothing about it. Nobody. The attorneys, the police, the zoning board, nobody. Does anybody have any answers? Why are we leaving it keeping it happening? They were told, no, no, no.
So
If it was me, I'd be in cuffs and in jail. That's, I truthfully believe it. You know? I don't know, so I object to any raises at all for this year. I don't think it's right, and I think the town really needs to look over what's going on in the town. You know, I'm sorry, but
Before the harvest.
thank you, Lawrence. So this is about the tax levy override. However, it seems like, you know, it's also touching onto a bigger issue, the illegal pot farm on Burnt Ridge Road. It's my understanding that the town is in litigation, you know, for enforcement against them, and it's a legal process. There's not much we can do in enforcement that won't get us into legal trouble to enforce. We can't just go in and start ripping things down. They have some sort of due process that we're required.
How long does that process take, though? This has been going on for 2 years.
I had
It's a
a
legal
video of your
process.
attorney telling us, regardless, the day before they even got, that we won, he said.
Sir, what's your
if it
name?
had- Dorian Curran, I live at 219, directly across.
What's your name?
216.
What's your name?
Dorian Curran. I live directly across the street from it. The town attorney on video, I had him saying, regardless, it's not a legal fence, it's roofing material we were using. And he said, regardless, the plants have to be removed the next day. That was, what,
July 31st.
July 31st? Guess what's all in there?
That is the
The
town's
plants are all
position.
still there, and they're trucking more in there. I took
and it's
pictures I took today.
events that are not even supposed to happen this month.
Can I just stop you all for
So
1 minute?
I feel we
How
should
it
not get any
works
more money.
is, if you're going to speak, you have to come up here and sign up on this card. You can't, everybody can't go around talking, for, you know, whenever you want. So you gotta come up here and step. If you wanna come back up here, if you wanna come up here, we'll sign you in and you can say what you have to say, but we have to keep order here.
Yeah, Lawrence
I'll
signed
make
in,
the
so
tax.
Dorian, if you could
Because-
sign in as well, and just sign in first and then
You
let's.
want me to
we'll do
sign
the
it?
time.
I signed your name, Lawrence,
Oh,
you're fine.
thank you.
Is that how you spell your last name?
No.
So the town attorney did say it's illegal, it must be taken down the next day, and that
He
is our,
said the
that is.
plants have to be removed, they have 30 days to take the fence down. The plants had to be removed the next day because the second you stop, there's a stop work order. Every day, those plants are growing bigger and bigger. That's their work. Well, the plants are this tall now, they stink, they're ready to harvest. I'm waiting for the garbage bags, because I've seen it before, to move in front of the gate to the side, and that means the truck's coming that we have to live with, that no one does anything about. I don't believe you should get any money, I think you should give us money back, because nobody's doing anything. I've been told, don't bother calling me again from the chief of police, it's ridiculous. I mean, what else we do? I've called OCM, it's not right. I got 30 acres, it ain't worth nothing now. I bought it as a wrecked house and rebuilt it for the last 26 years. I'm 61 years old, I can't do it again. That was my retirement, I don't have money in my pocket, that was it. And that was just taken away from me. And you guys want more money, me to give you more money to do nothing? You just destroyed my life.
So at this point, is there anybody who wants to speak about the public hearing local levy? All right, Gary, come on up, and you have to stand right here in front of the camera, please.
sell one of these. Don't forget to sign in, Bill.
I got you, Gary. And just, for people who don't come normally, there is a 2-minute or 3-minute clock that you have to abide by, so when the light goes, or when it rings, then you have to stop talking, okay? So go ahead.
Okay, I'm Gary Hill, been a lifelong resident of town of Fallbrook. I'm very upset with the politicians that we have pushed forward who are not managing the town budget to stay within the budget. It seems like everything is just, okay, run away, okay, run away, okay, run away. We'll just shove it up the taxpayer. Is it fair? You'll remember us at election time, when you come around giving your lies about what a good politician we're gonna be. But nobody is keeping the government in check. This is your job. Nobody else's, it's your job, you're the man. It's time to get this government to pull in its keisters and balance their books and live within the budget. Now, if the town board has been floating their budget on lack of raises for its employees, shame on them. They should automatically give them 2% a year because that's what the taxes are gonna go up. Now, you're gonna do away with all that, and taxes are gonna run wild. And you're not gonna have local people here to come and support you. You'll have your new bought friends. They'll be here to support you. And what will you have in the end? Nothing. That's all I have to say.
Would anyone else like to speak on the tax levy override? To
Hi, guys. You
Anyone?
gotta keep it orderly.
Alright, so once again, would anyone else would like to make their voices heard regarding overriding the tax cap for the 2026 budget? Anyone online? Please stand up. Please come on up. Give us your name.
What's your name, ma'am?
Christina Collette, Kollet. I'm a mock sheltering.
Are you Christina with the C or
C-R-I-S.
Okay.
I'm new here, I'm just getting involved with things, as a first-time homeowner. I'm a little disturbed by the idea that it is just run-of-the-mill business to just up the tax levy every year. That this is not an exception, that this is just par for the course. That just doesn't sound quite right. I can't do that with myself. I can't just decide every year we're gonna spend an extra 2% of money. I would like to see us do better. And I don't have the details on the budget and stuff like that, but it just does not sound feasible. Especially when you have a community where a lot of people are older, they don't have an increasing income. This is my retirement plan. Buying a house in the country was something I worked my whole life for. And to think that town business is every year we're just gonna up the taxes, that just doesn't sound right. And I am also concerned about what's going on in Burton Ridge Road now that I know about it. I have a property next to me that somebody could buy it tomorrow, and I don't wanna see that happen. And I've been to the zoning meetings and heard about other enforcement issues. And I'd like to know that, when there are rules being broken, that the town is doing something about it, because otherwise people will keep doing it. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for speaking. Anyone else want to speak on this subject? Please, Pam.
Just a quick question, where is Scott Dubois? The one who's, doing the figures and the budgets? Where is he?
I don't know.
Oh, that's nice.
Spending money.
Missing in action, okay.
Okay, you guys have to come up here and speak if you're gonna speak.
It was just a question.
I
Thank you.
get what you're saying, but
Okay, anyone else like
I'm
to
not
speak?
gonna put that in the minutes, Pam.
Alright, so just for clarification, you know, the budget process is a process, you know, and it's supposed to be a well thought out process. It starts with the town supervisor as a budget officer to present a tentative budget to the town board. The town board will then deliberate over that tentative budget and come up with a preliminary budget. And then with that preliminary budget, you know, we have a public hearing, and then we, you know, may make some tweaks to it, and then pass a final budget after we have the public hearing. The tentative budget that I presented had a 0.75% tax decrease. It was based on the fact that we had over $18 million in increased assessed value from all the developments that came online this year, which offset a lot of, you know, the extra spending that we needed. And plus the development fees that we typically don't really insert much, or very conservatively insert into our budget, which creates a surplus at the end of the year that's really almost artificial. In my discussion with the town controller, it's always been his philosophy to steadily raise taxes every year, even in good years, you know, just in case we have a really bad year, so we, you know, the public doesn't have to take that hit in a bad year. I don't ascribe to that philosophy personally. So the preliminary budget that we're voting on tonight was worked on by the town controllers and 2 council members, and it's projecting a 2.45% tax increase with the same spending priorities that we had in the tentative budget. But it really was, you know, it really came down to the to forecasting the revenues. I had a different methodology for forecasting revenues than the town controller. My methodology results in a tax decrease. His methodology results in a tax increase. But again, you know, the preliminary budget as it's written right now is not the final budget. There's still some time in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks to make some tweaks to it. Maybe it'll come down to less than 2.5% tax increase. I'm hoping that it does. Me personally, I'm not in favor of a tax cap override, you know, only because the figures that we have right now, even with a chargeback somewhere after the end of the year, I still don't project that we'll end up going over it. But again, it's a discussion, and ultimately it's a board decision as a whole. So if anyone else want to speak on this matter,
I just have a question. Do I have to come back up?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Okay, so let me just understand this. Even when we think we're gonna get more money, we're all getting taxed more, just in case? Is this like a codified law? Why isn't the rule, when we think we're going to have an emergency, we have an emergency resolution to raise the taxes, not, we're just gonna do it all the time? Because when we have emergencies, we can't say to the town, oh, I need to give you 2% less this year because I've had a bad year. And I think everybody is about to have really bad years.
Yeah.
In a sense, it's like a interest-free loan from the taxpayer, right?
Yeah, but
They
none of
front load
us
us
have agreed
now,
to that.
and then at the end of the year, if we have a surplus, we sit on the surplus for something bigger and better.
But we're not getting anything for that. The
Not a
town
tax
is getting
increase.
interest, the police aren't getting rid of the people who are doing illegal things.
Nope.
And people are losing their retirements. So to change that rule, do we have to change you guys, or is there some sort of? How do we change that? Because that's ridiculous.
I mean, it's a board decision, so.
Okay, so to change that rule, we change you. Thank you.
Would anyone else from the public like to speak before we move on with our business for tonight?
Actually, I have one more question, but I'll come up, I'm
Please
sorry.
come up, give us
Sorry,
your
I'm
name.
coming up, Pam Wagner, Lot Sheldrick, Okay, okay, I understand that you're gonna be increasing the taxes due to, cost of living and things like that, but we have a big elephant in the room. Isn't it that $110 million bond that we're supposed to get to replace the sewer system, and then we were talking about replacing the infrastructure, which was something like 2 million per mile. Where does that fall in this budget? I mean, is this something separate? Because I noticed that on the agenda, there was something else that you spoke of, something to do with that you don't want to have the sewer levy, oh, not sewer levies, but the sewer
Constitutional.
expenses added into this. So I'm just wondering, where do we stand here? I know you're saying 2.5%, but how does the other stuff fall into play?
Sure, okay, so the 2.5%.
Pam, why don't you just say it in case you have another question?
Oh,
No, I'm just saying, you got 2 more minutes on the clock.
All right,
So the-
I'll stand. I'll
So the
hang in.
2.5%, that's a slated increase, that doesn't talk about the sewer district at all. The sewer district has its own, that also has an increase, but it's not part of the overall calculation because it doesn't affect the entire town equally. So the 2.5% does not affect the sewer or the water districts. They have their own budgets, they have their own taxes, they have their own increases, and both
Isn't
are
that where
increasing.
there was an increase, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be rude, but isn't that where you said that we're increasing those by 10% per year since we had the problem
So that's
with
the
the
user
CDM
fees.
Smith report in 2011?
Right, so the user fees, that was raised 10%, I think an automatic 2% every year after
Was
that.
that last year?
That was last year, yes.
And now this year, it's gonna be every year?
Correct, for the user fees, that's built into the law that the majority of the board, decided to pass.
Okay.
However, this is different, we're talking about the property tax portion, which is really supposed to be the capital improvements. I'm a little bit more permissive on that because of the fact that we have a $110 million plant that we're looking to build. For us to have a slight surplus there is not a surplus because that money is actively walking out the door, as projects have started. So that's now an active project. This budget, this 2.5% does not touch the water and sewer districts. They have their own stuff going on. They have their own user fees increase, that's statutory, and then the property tax increases as well per EDU, per unit.
No,
Does that answer?
Well, that's the consolidated water system, and then we have the issue of the town being responsible for the people who have wells that are going dry. We have so many variables in this equation. I have 13 seconds left. I hope you can figure it out somehow, between all of you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Pam. Alright, so would anyone else like to voice their concerns, opinions, support for the tax levy override? Dorian.
I was just curious, since I have to pay property tax, and now that my property ain't worth half of what it was, should I get it reappraised and you guys are gonna give me a discount now, or?
Yeah, so the way that works is that you can go to the assessor and put an application for, to challenge your assessment.
And that'll go for everybody on the street, because the whole block, you're gonna lose millions because the whole block died.
So I don't know what the legal criteria is for, usually that can go in front of the grievance board and then they look at all the various criteria. I've never served on the grievance board.
So in the meantime, we don't pay our taxes, we'll put them like in an escrow account, so we have it there, because, I don't wanna give it to you, because you're not gonna be so quick to give it back if there's a discount.
That's true,
If it goes in the pocket, it's not, I'm not gonna see it.
That's true, but we can't give that kind of forbearance, for you to be able to hold, you do have to pay your taxes no matter what.
Oh, no, I pay, like I said, but I would put them in an escrow account, and, if we figure this out, I'd be happy to give you my taxes, I have for years. Just with you guys just destroying the value of my property by letting this happen, So you guys would get discount the whole neighborhood, and if that's what it comes down to.
I don't have the authority to do that. I understand where you're coming from, but I don't have the authority to do that.
No, I'm not saying you personally, but we can, that would be something that we'd have another meeting on, about figuring it out, because I don't think it's fair to anybody here. Yeah, I just lost my retirement. So I guess everybody else come up and do what themselves. Alright.
Thank you, Dorian. All right, last call. Anyone else like to speak on the public hearing for adopting the tax limit override?
Motion to close public hearing.
Hold
I
on.
have a motion to close the public hearing, and I have a second. All in favor?
Who is the second? Jeff, you're so quiet.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All right. The public hearing is now closed, and we can move on to our regular business. Supervisor's report, I just have a quick announcement regarding the food pantry. We had it this past Monday, and we had 22 new families. Did anyone use the public transportation that you know?
I don't know.
All right, well, so far, Rolling V has been gracious enough to provide free transportation to the food pantry site, which is the senior center. They're only providing it so long as people are actually using the service. For those families that may be on the fence as to whether or not they would use the bus service, use it. It's gonna be important for others down the line, as long as we keep it active. Not to mention the food pantry itself. Sometimes we run out of food, but a lot of times we have food left over. And it is a great service to the community. All right, so tonight,
Can I just stop you 1 second? For people who don't come here normally, we can't have you talking in the audience because it's hard for the people that are online on Zoom to hear it because there's too much outer noise. So please be respectful of that.
thank you, Paula. Tonight, we will be reviewing and voting on whether to approve the zoning code amendments that our board has been working on for over 14 months, beginning in July of 2024. We have had the opportunity to meet with not only Sullivan County to review the proposed changes, but members of the community and their legal teams, and also had multiple public hearings to ensure all members of the public could be heard. We commend all of our taxpayers and our residents for their interest and thoughtful insight throughout this entire process, and we are particularly impressed with the public hearing at the Performing Arts Center, which was basically standing room only. After many hours of editing, re-editing, and reviewing comments based on the county review, the opposition attorney review, the public comments, numerous public comments we've received and feedback, we strongly feel that our zoning code has been strengthened and is now in full compliance with state and federal law. We appreciate the feedback and comments that we have received throughout this process, and the involvement by the public truly allowed this to be a collaborative and community-centered process. Do we have any correspondence tonight?
We're holding off on our correspondence until the department heads are here next, on the 10/22.
All right, so now's the time we're gonna move on to our public comments. I just wanna remind everyone that each public speaker is limited to 3 minutes. It's not a Q&A, so you can ask questions to us, but that's not gonna mean that we're gonna respond. Typically, what I'd like to do is if you have any questions on anything that's on the agenda, ask your questions, we'll take notes, and then when we get to that part, we can discuss it amongst us in an open meeting, or, I can make some clarifying comments. But if you have any comments on anything that's not on the agenda, you can make the comments, we'll take notes, any follow-up, you can leave your information with us if you want us to follow up with you in any way. With that said, who's our first?
Mary Adams.
Good evening. So I just wanted to speak to the resolution number 20, which is related to the zoning board amendments. And first of all, I really wanted to thank you all very much for taking our concerns and considerations about the zoning law that we really started examining mostly in January, and taking them seriously and really addressing them. I felt you really were vigilant, and I think that our zoning code is stronger. I particularly am grateful for the no packaged plants in ag district. You've heard me talk about packaged plants before. If we were in Westchester and you had a manager that was there every day, every week, package plants are great. Up here, we don't have that kind of maintenance, and they break down. And when they break down, and I believe this happened in Thompson not too long ago, when a package plant breaks down, it becomes the town's responsibility and liability financially, as well as whatever. And I know we can't afford that. So I want to also recommend that we do this in rec. Until that can happen, I would like to recommend an escrow account for every property that requires a package plant. Must have a very high escrow account to cover those expenses. We can't just allow that to go through. I don't know that that has to become a law. I believe we can bring it up to the planning board, but I want to bring it to you because I think it's really a serious issue. It goes into our public streams, and it's really detrimental.
Like a bond.
Like a bond. And I think it should be required of every developer so that the town does not take that expense on. And so I think we really made some great progress. I do think that we have more work to do, but I think that we addressed some really good issues in that zoning code, and I'm really very grateful that we've worked together so well.
Thanks, Mary. The next person I have is Peter Carey.
Good evening, everybody. Peter Carey, Marshallville. I want to talk a little bit about perception to you guys. You are our representatives, yet issues are raised in public comments, and it seems like nothing comes from them. I think you saw a lot of that today, a lot of anger and frustration from your constituents. Laws are passed as if the public hearings meant nothing. That's a lot of the way people feel. Situations happen in town, litigation, and town members are left wondering what has happened. Most in the audience don't know if fines are being paid or levied because you, our representatives, are amongst the word. It should be discussed in this meeting. When people ask, how come this, I find out later on that, oh no, they were fined, they did pay their fine, they're doing a fine schedule. People don't know that, and then they get upset when they see other things happening in developments and situations that are going on. And that's something you guys should know. You should change your perception on how you interact with us, the community. I understand the reasons behind not interacting during public comments because it turns into a circus. But it also seems that you guys use that as an excuse to, thanks for talking, have a nice day. For instance, James Lagaria has brought up concerns about the aquifer for how many months? Every time he's here, he brings it up to you guys. Has anyone on this town board once brought up, hey, should we investigate having a study done on what our aquifer actually is? Has anybody? Exactly. You as a body discuss little at these meetings. Votes happen with no discussion, no back and forth. The vote tonight will likely follow suit. Why for I put down 6 months, it was 14 months. The topic is sat with no public work sessions. You've talked with different individuals, you've talked with stakeholders, but there's been no conversation outside of, with you guys to the public about what your thoughts are. I don't know what Nate's thoughts are actually on it. I don't know what Sean Walcarty's thoughts are on it actually. As a person who is a voter, I should know what the people who I voted for these positions are thinking. It shouldn't be a secret, and everything in this town is a secret. The open meetings law. You guys crafted an entire budget with no public work sessions, claiming no more than 2 of you have ever discussed it. I looked it up. It's called a serial meeting violation. It's considered a violation if the gatherings are used to orchestrate a collective decision that should have been made in a public forum. The board has a history of violating the open meetings law. You guys go into executive session so many times, we have some real personnel issues or litigation issues in this town. Because those are the 2 reasons for an executive session. But you guys seem to have meetings before, meetings after. As somebody standing on the outside, that's what it looks like. And you really should change that perception. Finally, in my last 7 seconds, I didn't elect a town planner or a town lawyer, but it sure does feel like they run this show. Also, our town has changed dramatically since the last comprehensive plan, and it's past time that it's redone. Thank you.
Pam, did you want to speak? Yeah. Keith, can I have your notes?
You can, but you may not be able to read them.
I've read worse.
First, I would like to thank the town board, that is Nathan, Jeff, Sean, Brandon not here, and Michael. And also Richard Baum and Dylan Harris, who are the lawyers of the town. We appreciate the hard work that went into updating our zoning codes. These changes are an important step. They give our planning board more tools, protect our aquifer, and make sure development is more closely reviewed. Thank you for making this progress. At the same time, Sullivan County is finishing a water and wastewater study this year, followed by a countywide aquifer study. These reports will give Fallsburg the first real scientific data on how much water we have, where it is located, and what condition it's in. Until that information is available, we ask the town board to be responsible and pause large projects and water or sewer expansions. To move forward without this data would be premature and could put taxpayers in the town at risk. This is about safe, sustainable growth based on science, real capacity, and the long-term well-being of our town. Again, thank you for your work. This is a strong beginning. Now let's take the next responsible step to safeguard Fallsburg's future. Thank you.
So I don't have anybody else that is signed up here in person. If you'd like to do that, now would be the time. Lawrence Card, right?
Yep. Well, I hear a lot going on about aquifers. There's something else you might want to know about, which has been in all the zoning meetings and everything else, which you guys might not be privileged to. They moved in water tanks that are, I don't know, that's your building inspector, they told me I'm crazy, but
7,500. Yeah.
they stand higher than the top of the house. Okay, one of them. And the smaller one is about half that size, which they fill up 2 of them. My water went brown a couple times last year. I wonder why. But that ain't my main concern. My main concern is I have a camera. This year it ain't been as bad, but last year was really bad over there. I got a surveillance camera. I went and bought them because they used to peek in my house and everything else. Well, the surveillance camera is mounted up high on the shed, which overlooks their 8-foot fence. So at nighttime, this camera keeps going off, and I'm like, what the world's going on? So I look. They have, and Dorian's got pictures of it, they bring in truckloads of chemicals in 5-gallon cans, 5 different ones, okay? And at nighttime, when nobody's looking, they go out there, they open the top of the water tank and pour these chemicals into these plants. Well, our property is designated wetlands. 3 houses there in a row are all designated wetlands. Once you get to the wood line, from there back, you can't touch it, it's designated wetlands. There's a little stream and there's a natural spring there, okay? That natural spring flows right down the back of my property, right into their property, and down to the next neighbor that ain't there. All these chemicals that they're pumping into there, and they run this pump, about a generator, depending on if it's dry, like when it was really dry before the last rain, about 5 hours a day. They got the generator out there running and a big commercial pump. And he's got pictures of it. They got hoses that run to every plant, and they're pumping these chemicals into these bags with the plants in them. Okay, and the only thing laying on the ground, and they said here and lied straight out to the zoning board, is weed block. Everybody knows weed block is purist. It goes through it. You can't tell me that plastic bags ain't overfilling with water and all them chemicals aren't going into that ground. And let me tell you what, in 10 years' time, we're gonna have a big problem around, because you know what? Cow crap is fertilizer, correct? Go over to Jeffersonville, go to White Sulphur, all over by all the farms from where they used to spread the manure. And they all got bad water, the houses over there. That's fertilizer. Well, this is fertilizer, and only God knows what kind. I asked 5 times for bill of lading so we could compare them to the different trucks that delivered, so they couldn't hide which one. And I still have never got it. Even from the town attorney, I asked him, building inspector, police department, everybody.
Mr. Carter,
And we
your
still don't
time
know.
has expired. Do we have anybody else for public comment that's in the building? Okay, is there anybody for public comment online?
Does anyone want to make their voices heard before we close public comment and move on with our business for tonight? No. Okay. If that's the case, I'm gonna go ahead and close public comment and we'll move on to our agenda items for this evening. Number 1, motion to approve town board minutes dated 9/16/2025. I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye, motion passes. Number 2, motion to approve payroll warrants dated 6/18/25 in the amount of $381,054.56.
Motion.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number 3, motion to approve payroll warrants dated 7/2/25 in the amount of $398,257.56.
Motion.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number 4, motion to approve payroll warrants dated 7/16/25 in the amount of $431,599.74.
Motion.
I have a motion,
Second.
I have a second, all in favor? Aye, motion passes. Number 5, motion to approve payroll warrants dated 7/30/25 in the amount of $420,468.77.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number 6, motion to approve payroll warrants dated 8/13/25 in the amount of $425,933.58.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye, motion passes. Number 7, motion to approve payroll warrants dated 8/27/25 in the amount of $405,486.12.
Motion.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number 8, motion to approve warrant number 09/8/25 dated 9/11/25 in the amount of $265,353.45.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number 9, motion to approve warrant number 09/B/25 dated 9/23/25 in the amount of $801,656.55.
Motion.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number 10, motion to approve promotion of Ryan Smith to laborer 2 in the Parks Department with a pay of $21.60 per hour, effective 10/6/25.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye, motion passes. Number 11, motion to approve employment of Thomas Benjamin as a motor equipment operator with a yearly salary of $51,147.20, effective 9/22/25.
Motion. Second.
Which one's which?
Nate, Jeff,
Okay, I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number 12, motion to approve promotion of Timothy Deary to motor equipment operator with a yearly salary of $51,147.20, effective 9/22/25.
Motion.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Number 13, motion to approve employment of James Bingay as a plant attendant in the sewer department with a yearly salary of $51,147.20, effective 10/6/25.
Motion.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye, motion passes. Number 14, I have a substitution. So number 14 is a motion to authorize administrative duty for the DASNY Restore NY 9 grant pertaining to Refuah Health Center. That doesn't, the motion isn't gonna be enough, it requires an actual resolution. So we do have a resolution that was sent to the board.
Hold on a second, do we, attorney, do we remove that motion?
It's in the agenda, it's just an amended agenda item.
Okay, so.
In the minutes, you'll say
Yeah.
that they amended it to put a
Okay.
resolution in.
Okay.
So now it's Resolution 84 of 2025, which replaces motion number 14 to engage Delaware Engineering DPC to administer the Restore NY grant, authorizing next steps for the South Fallsburg Medical Center, CFA number 144985. So this was the $750,000 grant that Councilman Walcarty worked very hard with before to apply for. The state did approve us for the grant, but it's a pass-through through the town to this organization where the town has to, do a lot of the paperwork and a lot of the administrative work. There's also a 10% match that the town has to put in, which is about $75,000. That is either in-kind services or, a direct cash contribution. So, but it does require someone to administer the grant. We don't have really personnel with the time on their hands or the expertise to administer this grant internally. So we're looking to give it to our professional grants administrators and writers, which is Delaware Engineering, which handles all of our infrastructure grants, or at least the vast majority over the years. So that's what we're looking to do now. We're looking to enter an agreement with Delaware Engineering to administer the grants on the town's behalf, in service to Refuah Health Center. So, do I have a motion to pass resolution number 84 of 2025?
Motion.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
I must say.
Okay,
Abstain?
Yeah.
I'm a yes, so we have 3 yeses, 0 noes, and 1 abstention. 3-0-1. All right, so number 15. I'll just give a quick explanation. So this is with regard to our ongoing project for the Never Sink Crossing to be able to link the 2 sides of the Owen Rail Trail to build a bridge that will connect essentially the rail trail from one side of town, Hurleyville, that will effectively connect it all the way to Mountaindale. It's a major project that the county has worked really hard, as well as the ONW Rail Trail Alliance. This is years in the making, but the town acts as the sponsor of the entire project. So even though we have, close to $3 million in grants, federal, state, local, as well as public-private partnerships, everything has to funnel through the town. And even though the county is providing a lot of the work, we have to enter into intermunicipal agreements with the county to provide us with their part of their contribution. So number 15, Resolution 78 of 2025, authorizing intermunicipal agreement with Sullivan County. The county is aiding the funding recipient in the construction of the Never Sink Crossing, a connecting section of the Sullivan ONW Rail Trail. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye, motion passes. So the next one has to do with creating a pre-project escrow. So essentially, there's a townhouse project that's looking to be built. It's gonna require some engineering work, partly on behalf of the town. The town isn't looking to, expend taxpayer funds, in furtherance of a private, development project. So the developer will have to reimburse the town for any expenses the town incurs. All the while, it doesn't place any kind of special permissions, town isn't granting any kind of, approvals or anything of that sort, it's really just, preliminary engineering work. So this allows us to enter an agreement with the developer to put in escrow and, be able to deduct from that escrow as we incur fees. So number 16, Resolution 79 of 2025, approving the creation of a pre-project escrow for professionals for agreement Yeshiva Parnas Drive Townhouses project. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. So the next one has to do with the release of funds. So typically, not typically, but there are times when a developer is finished with a sizable part of the project and wants to be able to obtain COs, but technically their planning approvals is for the entire project. So, typically we want them to finish the entire project before getting COs and start selling units. However, it's been common practice that whatever the punch list items they have left, like outlet covers and things like that, they would put the value of getting that professionally done in a escrow or a bond, so that in case they walk away and they can't finish the work, that the town or the owners aren't left holding the bag. There is this money set aside. So as they complete these projects, the town can release funds, provided they give us invoices and proof of payment for these things. And once our code enforcement certifies that they've completed a portion of those checklist items, then we can release some of the funds. So in this case, the funds that we're looking to release is 100. So they have $229,000 in escrow, and we're gonna
No,
keep.
407,660.
Oh, I see, so we're looking to release $229,760. So the amount that they're gonna have left in escrow is $177,900 that will still be held by the town. They're looking for us to release $229,000 based on, completing X amount of work. So, number 17, Resolution 80 of 2025, approving the partial release of bond for Orchards of Hermanville Development Project to the residents of the town of Fallsview.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. So the next one is for, I guess the town board would authorize me to sign on behalf of the town to submit a application to the state controller's office requesting exclusion of the sewer debt from the town's constitutional debt limit. Essentially, the state establishes that, there's a certain formula for how much a town or a local jurisdiction can go into debt, it's designed as a safeguard so that small towns don't go bankrupt, taking on too much debt. In this case, because of the sewer plant is slated to cost over $100 million, which in relation to, various factors of just the type of, how affluent the town is or how affluent the town is not, it would exceed our constitutional debt limit. So in order to proceed with this project, we're gonna have to request from the state controller to allow us to exceed the debt limit for this project. And that's essentially what this resolution does.
Exclude.
To exclude us from the constitutional debt limit, so that it's not, so we're not affected by it. Resolution 81 of 2025, authorizing the town supervisor to submit an application to the Office of the State Controller requesting exclusion of sewer debt from the town's constitutional debt limit. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. All right, so the next one has to do, so I remember we set a hearing to, did we set a hearing to establish us
No,
as the lead agency?
We sent out notice of intent to declare lead agency, and no other agencies took lead agency. So this resolution is for you to declare lead agency status. It goes through details of lead agency status and all of the things that are examined in order to determine whether or not there's a negative declaration that should be made.
And it's, when we declared our intention, we essentially, other state agencies had 30 days
It
to.
was all interested agencies. It would have been schools and Department of Health, Department of Environmental Conservation, DOT. There was a whole laundry list. And the town, it would be very unusual for anyone else to declare a lead agency, so no one, within the 30 days that elapsed, declared lead agency. So now, since you declared your intent and no one else took lead agency, the town can declare lead agency, and then you have your secret declaration, which has been circulated to demonstrate that there's a negative declaration that should be issued.
Perfect, thank you, well said. All right, no one has any questions?
Motion.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye, motion, or the resolution passes. All right, number 20. So it's all culminated down to this. Is this gonna require a roll call vote or just a
I
simple?
would make a roll call vote on the seeker also.
On the, you mean for lead
The one that
agency?
we already did.
The 82, yeah.
Okay, so the motion was done by
Nate, I second
Nate.
it.
And Jeff seconded. I have approval from Sean, yes, and I'm approval as well, and Miranda is absent, so 4-0. Okay, so,
301.
he didn't,
No, he voted.
he voted yes.
Oh, 401.
There's no abstention.
Marie, she's absent, that's what I'm saying, though. You still have to put that she's absent.
So that's 4-0.
4-0, automatically be.
The one is absent.
Typically,
You
the
still
one
have
is
to
an
put
abstention.
absent.
Okay.
However you do the.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I'm not gonna, yeah. All right, so Resolution 83 of 2025, review and approval of local law amending the Town of Fallsburg zoning code to add business uses to the industrial zoning district, align bulk requirements for certain uses, amend the non-conforming properties regulations, and amend religious uses throughout the town of Fallsburg. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. So that's motion and a second, so roll call. Sean, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. So
Oh, we have something else. Yeah, well, let's finish this.
4-0, I guess 4-0-1.
401 in Paul language.
Okay, and
So I have an add-on resolution.
I have an add-on, so I have one add-on resolution for tonight. You may have others.
I have one too.
Okay, so I'll do mine and then you can add yours. So I have resolution number 85 of 2025, amending the insurance buyout policy for management, confidential employees, elected officials, and department heads. Should I read it or should I explain it?
Yes, please read it.
All right, so, it's right here. So, whereas the town of Fallsburg seeks to maintain equitable and fiscally responsible employee benefit policies, and whereas the town currently offers a health insurance buyout option to eligible employees who decline coverage under the town's health insurance plan, and whereas the town board has reviewed and determined that the existing buyout provisions for management, confidential employees, elected officials, and department heads should be amended to reflect updated compensation and eligibility standards. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the town board of the town of Fallsburg, County of Sullivan, as follows. Policy amendment, the town hereby amends its health insurance buyout policy applicable to management confidential employees, elected officials, and department heads. 2, eligibility. Individuals must be eligible for town-sponsored health insurance and provide proof of alternative coverage. Participation in the buyout program is voluntary and must be elected annually during the open enrollment period. Number 3, buyout compensation. Eligible participants who opt out of town-sponsored health insurance shall receive an annual buyout payment of $15,000 payable in annual installments. The buyout amount may be prorated for partial year participation. 4, documentation and approval. Participants must submit a written waiver of coverage and proof of alternative insurance to the town supervisor or designated HR representative. Final approval is subject to verification and compliance with applicable laws and regulations. Effective date, this amended policy shall take effect on January 1st, 2026 and shall apply to all eligible employees as of this date. And supersession, this resolution supersedes any prior resolutions or policies inconsistent with the provisions therein. Be it further resolved that town supervisor is authorized to take all necessary steps to implement this policy, including notifying affected employees and updating relevant documentation. So,
Can we have a discussion?
Yeah.
What's the current buyout?
Current buyout, we don't have Scott here, I think it's 28 something, 2850, and that's for.
All employees, everything?
So there's a difference because we have the union contract within the police, the PBA, we have the CSEA contract for most other employees, and then we have non-representative employees.
So for every buyout that the town initiates, what is the buyout for each of those buyouts that you're talking about? What is the number?
I think it's 2850, isn't it? As far as we, the last contract.
Somewhere in that neighborhood. And under this program, what would be the new number for management confidential employees, department heads, and elected officials?
It would be 15,000.
Big difference.
So, this wasn't my initiative, but I was approached about it and, it does make sense. So family coverage costs roughly $43,000 for each employee.
This is insane.
That is incredibly expensive.
It's insane because
They can bring it down.
We literally just sat here and listened all night about the 2% and what we're doing in terms of the budget and all this other kind of stuff, and we have the audacity to put this on the agenda. Like, what the hell are we doing? Like, it doesn't make sense. It makes sense like a fart in the wind. It doesn't make sense.
So let me articulate it.
No, it doesn't make sense in weeks.
So I am the one that brought this because I am also one of the 2 councilmen that met with our controller about our budget. And I do agree with many people in the audience that it's not the right way to do things. I didn't meet with any other board members. I know Jeff also had meetings with Scott. In the past, I've been on the board for many, many years. We met as a group. It was public. We met with department heads and we crunched the numbers, and for whatever reason, that doesn't happen anymore. I have the ability, fortunately, to have the time in my business, personal life to spend time in town hall, and I have the utmost confidence in our town controller. I did bring this, and it is a large number, and initially I thought it was too much. But when many of the staff are taking a $42,000 policy, and we have the option to give them $15,000 and they could get their insurance in another spot, Scott and I worked the numbers, and there was somewhere in the neighborhood of a guesstimation of close to $100,000 in savings. So I myself have never, or I guess very briefly for less than a year period, did take the insurance from the town, but it cost me to get my insurance through my wife's job substantially more than the $3,000 buyout. And I honestly did it personally because I didn't want to put the burden of that $42,000 policy on the town. So after discussions and after figuring out that we needed to have a comparable number to other employees like the county, who also has the same health coverage and has a $15,000 buyout, that many of our employees. No, that's not, you're wrong, it's not accurate, it is not. It is not. It's more complicated than that, but approximately the county buyout is 15,000. And if it works the way that the controller, who is, in my opinion, the expert for finances for the town, this will be a money savings. Now, my resolution is gonna deal directly with another concern, but the 2% tax cap that people are upset about is a very difficult thing, and it's a burden that the state has put on the town. Our union contract this year, the raises were 5% for our town employees that are union employees. Our fuel costs, all of these costs have gone up substantially more than 2%. Now, where Mike, his budget that he created, I believe mostly from Scott's budget, showed I think a 0.5 point decrease, and that is all over estimated income that we're gonna get. And Scott's budget actually was closer to 4.5% with the first one that came in. And there's a lot of variables, and I've been in business and have a bachelor's in business degree. I've operated business my entire life. It's very difficult when you have a parks department and golf courses and other expenses, especially that are so much related on the weather, and there's other variables that it's very difficult to plan what your revenue is gonna be. And Scott's approach is, and I agree with Scott, and that you have to be cautious, because if you have a disastrous year, you don't have the money and you won't have the savings to deal with those issues. So I pay a tremendous amount of taxes in the town. I feel the pain, and it's something I don't take lightly, but what Mike is talking about is it's a little bit tough to swallow, but it's gonna be a cost savings to the town.
Can I ask
I
you a
don't think
question?
elected officials should be a part of it. Like, no, we shouldn't be a part of this. Like, we are part of the problem. Like, we have in the budget, you have $32,000 as an increase of the town board in salary. What the hell? This town board's done shit, but we're increasing salary? No. I said it from the very beginning.
Sean, you're upset about the fact that you're not administering the grant?
Yeah,
And
because you know
honestly,
what, you guys screwed me on that too, but that's
I
another
told you,
story.
I told you.
That's another,
I
that's
told
what
you
I'm
my
bringing up.
opinions
Like,
on
Conflict
this
of
person-
interest is
And what did I
in any
do?
case,
What did I do? I abstained from the
I
vote.
need you all to
I
take a
abstained from the
beat,
vote.
let
I don't know
them
if
do
this is
their
where it's
thing.
coming from.
I abstained from the vote, sir.
The
So I'm
salary,
gone.
all of our jobs and.
You haven't done a thing. What have you done? What
I've
have you done?
attended 99% of the meetings.
You changed the meeting, sir.
I
have a text message, you
You
said the hell
missed
with Sean.
70% of the
You
meetings.
changed
And
the
you don't
meetings.
spend a minute in this town
You
hall.
changed the meetings.
You should be embarrassed with your behavior.
Because you changed the meeting,
First
sir.
of all, I did not
You
change
did.
it. We
I have
voted
a
as a
text
board,
message.
when you were elected to.
You guys changed
So
the
when you're
meeting, so
elected
night
to a
when you
job.
knew I couldn't make it. I said, I cannot make this night, I had a job.
We had conflicts with our attorneys,
That-
with
yeah,
other
that has
board members,
nothing to do-
everybody.
That has nothing to do with this budget.
Everybody has conflicts. When
That
you
has
take
nothing to do with this
When you
budget.
run for a job, you better make sure Monday through Friday,
And guess what?
you could change your
And
schedule.
guess what, that has nothing to do with this budget.
It's
Right? You're trying to
it's
money
offensive
the
to me with the
I'm
amount of
offended by
time
the
that I
budget.
put into this
I'm
job,
offended
that
by
somebody that's
increasing
missed
the salary.
70% of the
I'm
meetings
offended
and
by
doesn't
you
come
guys
to the
adding
town hall,
$15,000.
has the nerve to say it.
I'm gonna say it out loud, I'm gonna keep saying it, because you
All right,
guys.
let's maintain order, we have a meeting to run here.
You
I
have
asked a crazy
this money
question.
in
I
this.
just-
I don't know numbers, it's nothing to do with
It
her
should, it should.
I have one more question, Sean.
Let them do their
On our
thing.
last board, when you were deputy supervisor, did you or did you not fight for yourself to get a substantial stipend for that job? A job that I've held, not now, unfortunately, but I've held for 10 years without a stipend. Did you ask for a stipend and it was voted down?
What I said was, the law supports this, that's what I said. And when,
I was told that
and
it came to a vote, it was voted down.
we never voted. So there's that.
I am not embarrassed
And
by asking.
let's go even further, right? Because Sean Mulcarty has gotten almost $1 million in grants for this town, and what has Sean gotten for it? Nothing, but it has nothing to do with what we have here on paper. What we have here on paper is $15,000 for elected
I told you I
officials.
supported you to
And-
administer the grant, but I
And
felt
as
that
long
you
as
should
I
step.
quit.
Not quit. It's a
Right.
conflict of
But
interest,
again,
you to
we're
receive
moving on.
money
It has
to
nothing-
administer a grant and
That
sit on
has
this
nothing
board.
to do
You have 2 months left, you're not even running, you could have
This.
stepped down.
This.
What do you mean?
This.
Okay. You have your opinion, I have mine.
This is
You
enough.
can vote on it.
Make a motion?
Yes.
I second.
I have a motion to approve, we have a second,
No,
I have one no, I'm voting yes, the resolution passes.
Okay.
Now, we have something else.
Now, I apologize to the public.
And who made the motion?
Nate made the motion, I second.
And then it's 3.
Yes.
I apologize to the public, I apologize to Mike, because Mike does not like add-on resolutions, but there is an email circulated by our town attorney, Dylan, that deals directly with this cannabis farm, this illegal cannabis farm. And in the email, at the end of the email, he asked for each board member to respond to him directly about whether the town, because we are limited on our enforcement with this type of action. And really, the only way that we could do anything is to have a formal lawsuit against the farmer. So in the email, he asks that we get back to him and give us our opinion. And the other option is to have a formal resolution that can be made by the board if the board wishes to bring such a lawsuit against the property owner. So I would like to make a resolution authorizing our town legal staff to pursue a lawsuit against this.
Motion or resolution?
He asked for a resolution.
Do we have a written resolution? Does it require a written resolution?
You guys have
Hold on,
Richard.
hold on.
Help me out.
We
gotta let us know what's
We
going
don't
on.
have a written resolution.
That's what they're
The
talking about.
emails were
You're not.
circulated about enforcement against this illegal farm. They have been circulated, and Dylan was waiting for a final answer on it in anticipation of the board wanting to enforce the rules against this farm that has not received proper approval, didn't get its variances and so on. I actually asked Dylan to circulate, it's gonna be done probably tomorrow, the retainer engagement, in order to proceed with the Supreme Court action to stop them from operating the farm.
That was town court. This is
Supreme
Supreme.
Court.
We're going
Just
above.
just so everyone
But
understands,
they're still winning, they're still.
Let the attorney talk,
Please,
please.
please.
just so everyone understands, there's actually 3 angles of enforcement. The first angle of enforcement is for generally compliant people. The building inspectors, the code enforcers go out and issue violations. Compliant people will come in and say, okay, here's permit, here's a permit application, here's my plans, and they'll get proper permission, even if they do something wrong initially. Okay, that's step 1. And that works for reasonably compliant people. Right? The second level is, if you're not a reasonably compliant person, then the town special prosecutor can go into the justice court and enforce by having a judge fine the bad actor. In other words, we have per day fines. If you've let it go on for 30 days and not fixed it, you can be fined. And that happens all the time. Fines can be small, fines can be large. Could be $300, could be $48,000, right? The town court has very, very limited jurisdiction. All the town court can do is guilty, not guilty, and how much is the fine. That's all they can do. The things that you're talking about and asking for can only be done by a court of equity, a court of general jurisdiction that can direct somebody to do something. The lower court, the town court, cannot direct anybody to do anything other than pay a fine. So what we're talking about now requires a special authorization. Going into justice court to enforce the code is routine enforcement. This requires an action in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is a court of general jurisdiction. It's a trial court. It sounds like the Supreme Court of the United States, you hear about that on the news, which is the highest court. Well, in New York State, it's the lowest court. Our highest court is called the Court of Appeals, okay? So what the board is doing now is authorizing the Dylan Harris to go into the Supreme Court to bring an order to show cause, to stop them from operating and to enforce against them the violations. They're able to provide injunctive relief, and upon failure of the injunctive relief, you can punish them for contempt, because now you have someone that's violating a Supreme Court order. And you can't violate a Supreme Court order because the judges don't like it, and they have the power to enforce it. It can be enforced with fines, and it also can be enforced in extreme cases where the sheriff can actually go in and actually take action on the property if it gets to that level.
Last question, how did they even get this far? Their first form we saw was written with crayon
and it was written in the wrong town. It said Liberty, not Fallsburg, so it shouldn't be valid. If I went to motor vehicle and wrote the wrong town on my driver's license, I wouldn't get a driver's license. Their permit that was illegal to get, because I called OCM, they didn't authorize it.
This town does not control OCM.
I know you
OCM
don't, but how did this
OCM
town approve a thing with the wrong address on it?
To my knowledge, nothing's approved that's operating without approval.
We never approved anything.
Excuse me, but
First of all, wait, since we're talking here, the town does not approve projects. The town delegates its authority to approve projects to the planning board. The planning board is a separate independent body. This board does not control what the planning board does, it's independent, okay? So, and they would be doing something improper if they were interfering with the planning board, because they delegated that authority to them. So that's why there are certain things that the town is involved in, like these escrows. For example, the planning board has no authority to set a bond, but the town board does. So that's why you see an escrow with the town board. There are reasons why things are done in the way that they're done, and it comes out of the complications that are created by state law. A lot of what people are unhappy about are rules under state law. For example, the exclusion of the debt from the 2% cap and the constitutional debt limit is provided for with a specific statute under the local finance law. This is permitted, it's routine, it's what every municipality would do. Because you don't want to lump that in because it interferes with your other operations.
Did I tell you
How's it
something?
take us 3 years to get this far?
When we first found out, and I told Dorian, hey, you're putting a pot farm there, because the caretaker told me, and he was going through everything. I went onto the OCM's website myself and tried to put in an application for which they wouldn't allow. But there's a lot of stipulations. It said that they have to first have town approval to get the permit from the OCM, which they claimed they got. And this is when we found out that it was from Liberty, because our mailing address over there is Liberty, not Fallsburg. So they put it in for Liberty. They were supposed to get town approval submitted to the OCM to be able to get it, and they gave Liberty.
So
that's how this all started.
Building codes.
Okay, all right, so
You want me to text the building code?
again, we're not in public comment. I'm gonna just quickly relate a story. When we first shut him down, I got a fairly angry call from OCM, basically stating that, we don't have the authority to intervene in their matters. As long as they meet all the zoning requirements, we can't tell them what to do. And then I told them, they are violating a substantial number of our zoning laws, in which case their mood changed completely, and they said, oh, well, they have to follow your local laws. So, they're protecting them on some level, but they're.
But they're also not following OCM laws. OCM laws are double fence, have to be secure. This is.
OCM says, hey,
I watched this fence blow down 4 times. 4 times in the wind.
OCM
And it's made with roofing, it's not even
You gotta
fencing.
speak to your state
And it's
representative.
supposed to be a neighbor-friendly fence also,
Okay.
according to OCM regulations. OCM
Alright,
came
so-
in this year to inspect.
So we have
I
a
said, you
motion.
better inspect the, excuse me 1 second, you're talking over me.
But it's not a public comment period. so
Yeah,
I understand
OCM
where
told
you're
me
coming
to mind my own goddamn business.
I understand. Okay, so right now, as it stands, we have a motion on the table. The motion is to introduce this resolution. I mean, I guess it's a
I'll
motion.
tidy it up. Just pass a motion to authorize the town to go into Supreme Court to enforce.
Motion, second.
Alright, I have a motion for what our town attorney
Go
said.
into Supreme Court.
Yes.
You stole my motion.
Now, are we gonna go through all this again next year?
Of course.
Formal resolution authorizing to go into Supreme Court.
Just, don't go into very, very, very casual, but I'll fix it
Okay,
later.
yeah, okay, well, I mean,
They're going
we
to
have-
Supreme Court to enforce the statutes, rules, and regulations against
319 Burtridge Road.
319 Burberry.
219.
Oh, we just enforced it against the wrong party, sorry. It's regarding,
Burbridge Road.
Burbridge Road for operation of a cannabis farm without approval.
All right, so I have that motion.
I thought it was mine, Joe tried to steal it. I'm okay either way.
All right, so I have a motion and a second. All right, guys, folks, I need everyone to pipe down. We're almost done. We just have to get over this one
Jeff
last
and Sean.
vote.
Jeff and Sean?
Yes.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. All right, I will entertain any, all right, I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
When the truck shows up,